Welcome to The Funnel. My name is John Chan. I'm president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 244 of The Funnel, talking to your boss, a sales manager's minefield. Before we begin, I want to remind you, head on over to alignment-group.com/The Funnel. Subscribe to The Funnel, and we will send you the show notes weekly. Comes out every Thursday, and we do not inundate you with emails every day. I promise you that. Occasionally, you'll get something outside of the normal weekly email, but we try to limit it because I've subscribed to things and I just get inundated with emails, and I get it. If you want some good information and good stuff, go over to the website, and there's plenty there. I'm not going to dump a bunch of things on you. Let's jump into the agenda. Learn the ropes, what to do, and then what not to do. So let's talk about learning the ropes. And I want to sort of qualify this podcast by saying there's a lot of nuance to dealing with your boss. And I don't pretend to know everybody's boss. There are different styles, there's different people, different setups. You could be reporting to a VP of sales, you could be reporting to a business owner or some other executive in the company. I'm not really surprised at org charts these days. There's some pretty goofy stuff out there. What I'm trying to do is at least give you a baseline for communication. You might be new to sales management, and you could have been promoted could be promoted from within the company. You were a good rep. You provided some valuable revenue. You showed a propensity for leadership, and they put you in that role. It may be they hired you from outside the company as a sales manager from another company or a sales rep from another company. You moved into this new role, and you're now a manager. Or you could be managing for a while, and you're just having a difficult time. Now, I plan on doing some additional podcasts on this sort of upward pressure that you as a manager has to deal with, because I spent a lot of time on the manager sales rep relationship. And I haven't really spent a lot of time on the people above you. And I will say this, that it's just as important to manage and manage properly. And I was reminded of that in an email. Someone had asked me about it. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's a good idea. Maybe I'll talk about that. I have a lot of history there in dealing with managers of all type and bosses of all type as a manager and a VP of sales. And I can tell you that it's not easy. So when you're learning the ropes here, what I mean by that is just understand it's a slippery slope. You have downward pressure from executives. You have upward pressure from your reps. And you're trying to manage the middle. You can't just open the door and look behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz and see everything. As a rep, we don't want that. We want to get the right messaging and the right information to them. But as a manager, you have some work to do, right? You're protecting your team to some degree. You're depending on them to perform for you because you have performance standards that your boss is looking for. So there's a lot of pressure there. So I would say if you're a new manager and you're just kind of starting down this road, one of the things you need to be aware of is just because you're a manager doesn't mean that you have full authority to do whatever you want. A good boss is going to provide you with some rope to make decisions on your own, but they're not going to give it all to you because you have to build up your credibility. You have to earn their trust to do more. And the best way to earn trust, obviously, is to succeed. Results provide that. Now, in some cases, business owners and managers above you tend to micromanage regardless of how successful you are. I've had some experience in that. Very successful teams still had panicked bosses if it's a week into the month and it doesn't look good. Kind of silliness, right? But I learned over time that building up credibility does help, even if they do micromanage. Because you can point to previous success as an indicator of future success. I would say you need to understand your boss more than they need to understand you. I talk a lot about understanding your sales reps, how they learn, how they communicate, the best way to manage them. And everybody's different. And you might have to adjust your style to the rep to get the most out of that person. And that makes all the sense in the world. It doesn't necessarily mean your boss is going to do that with you. So I would just turn around, and face the boss and do the same thing with the boss that you're doing with your reps. Try to understand who they are, what they like, what they dislike, their style of communication. You've heard me talk about the communication styles before in podcasts. And a lot of communication is nonverbal. So mirroring somebody is a great way to communicate. People like that. Do some research on it. People like that. Maybe that's a way that you communicate with your manager. Now, if your manager screams and yells, I'm not sure you can do that. I'm not sure you want to be there. But you need to understand who they are and build up your credibility before you can really jump in feet first. Does that mean you don't talk to them for the first 6 months? No. You just temper the conversations and understand that you're not going to get as much now as you're going to get in the future if you begin to succeed and perform at a high level. And I would say, under no circumstances, unless they've done something unethical, illegal, harassment, that sort of thing, do not go over their head. It does you no good. Let's talk about what to do. So one of the things that I've said in the past, and I'll say now when I deal with reps, and I've talked to reps and managers, and they come to me and they sort of dump all their problems on me. What I want back is possible solutions. I don't want the perfect answer, because you wouldn't be coming to me if you had the perfect answer. You wouldn't be asking me for help, right? So you're coming in my office and you're saying, well, such and such is a problem. And you go on and on and on for 10 minutes. And then you sit there and wait. Well, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for me to solve the problem for you? As a manager of a manager, I'd look at you and say, part of your role here is to problem solve. Now, this may be outside your purview, and you may need to come to me for a decision, but I would sure like a possible solution or two that maybe you've come up, that you've thought it through, that you've put some time and effort into exactly what it is we're going to talk about. You've asked me for some time. I've given it to you. Now you're just dumping problems on me. And I've gone down this road before. I've gone down this road before with sales reps and managers. Don't make your problem my problem. Okay, 1, 2, if it's a company problem or another area of the company, you need to think about what that possible answer could be. Collaborate with me versus me. I have this problem, fix. Let's work on a problem solve. And whatever you do when you talk to your boss, make sure you have all your ducks in a row. The worst thing you can do is say something that's not true because you didn't do your homework or you weren't prepared for the possible questions that he or she might ask you. It's kind of like getting prepared for a prospect call. You're out there for the meeting and they ask you a question and you're not prepared to answer it. Be prepared for any possible question you could get and work through some of those answers. You don't have to be perfect. Don't get nervous here. They are your boss. They hired you for a reason. Using softer words like I need help, I need guidance. Can you give me some guidance on this? I'm not sure what to do. Don't get all worked up on emotion. They're not your therapist. So don't go in there when you're really angry and mad and slam the door and go off. Use your head. Collect your thoughts. Relax. And move forward. And don't corner them with 20 issues. Focus on the issue at hand. Exactly what it is you want to talk about. Don't add 3 or 4 things in. There's a tendency to want to do that because you have their attention. But what'll happen is they'll start avoiding you because they know, yeah, John said he wanted to talk to me for 5 minutes. 35 minutes later, I've got 10 items on my page. I don't want to go through that. Or they kind of push back on you and say, I don't have time for that now. Then you feel like an idiot when you walk out. So be aware of the time. Be cognizant of their time. You said you give me a half an hour. Me, I try to get it done in 20 minutes. Give him back 10 minutes. Thanks, that's all we need. Move on. So this is the basic parameters of how to deal with your boss and how to talk to your boss. It's a little bit more nuanced, but you have the idea on where we're going with this. Now, here's some things that maybe you shouldn't do. So what not to do, okay? And I said this before, don't bring every idea that's ever floated inside your head and let it come puking out of you. Don't look for them to provide every answer to you on everything. Guidance is one thing, but looking for them to provide that answer is not. And I can tell you this, that it's good practice for you. When a sales rep does that, say, well, what solutions do you have? Right? You kind of are a therapist, right? Because that's what therapists do. They don't just give you the answers. They ask you questions about how you're going to solve it. Then they guide you on things that you can do to help yourself. It's the same here. That's how you learn. That's how you teach. And if you have a good boss, you'll learn a lot. Don't ever say anything negative about somebody else in your boss's office. Don't make other people look bad, especially your peers. You just never know. First of all, it's bad practice and it's rude and it's unethical. Okay, so I got that out. But people do it anyway. I mean, all you have to do is watch reality television. Politics. I mean, really. But don't do it. It makes you look bad. It destroys your credibility. Because here's what I've always said to people I know. If folks are willing to talk to you about other people, what are they saying about you when you're not around? What makes you so special that they wouldn't do that to you? So don't make other people look bad. Give credit where credit is due. So here's what I mean by that. There are managers that take credit for everything their sales rep does. That's ridiculous. They're a reflection of you. It's your team. Give them credit where credit's due. And if you have a boss that doesn't really understand that and puts more value on what they've done, then go find another job. Because the manager's role in a sales organization is the key role to success. And if they don't understand that, that's a problem. And if you have to take credit for somebody else's work to stay employed, go find something else to do. So give credit where credit is due, not only to your sales reps, but to peers. And take credit when it's deserved. Now you're going to find this hard to believe because I do this podcast and I sound so confident. So I'm a pretty humble guy. I don't like the accolades. So it just doesn't matter to me. And it's been a problem in the past because I don't take credit for things that I've done. When I've been a manager, a sales rep, a VP, I just did this stuff and figured, well, no big deal. I got it done. But there's a lot of people that take credit for your work. So don't be shy about taking credit. Be professional about it. Don't start hooting and hollering in the office and popping champagne because you did something. But make sure you take credit for the things that you do and you do well. That's important. It's a delicate balancing act when talking to your boss. So I've gone through a number of things here. I've walked you through how to have that conversation, practice good body language, mirror them. I will tell you to be assertive. Don't be overly aggressive. I had a boss once that just didn't respond well to aggressiveness. So you got to be assertive. Be open to the fact that you may not get everything you want. Couple of final quick thoughts on this. One, what is said in that room stays in that room. Unless obviously there's a message you need to deliver to rep. Hey, I have a problem with this. I need some guidance. Can you help me with that? Then you have to deliver the message. But if your manager says, I don't particularly like that rep because of this, 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 and this, keep that to yourself. Private conversations are private conversations. Don't go spreading rumors or gossip. Don't make fun of your boss behind their back to other people. I know this sounds stupid, but people do that. Stay positive and upbeat. Don't hold your head down and don't get negative. Recognize their performance when they do something well. That really helped a lot. Here's what happens when people, they get advice, they move on, or guidance, they move on, and then they continue on with their day, and they never think to go back to their boss and say, hey, you know what? I tried that and it worked. Thank you so much. You were a great help in coming up with a solution for this. They're people too. And I think the final thing I'm going to say is keep the lines of communication open. I say openly? Open. Don't avoid them. Talk to them on a regular basis, and the comfort level and the credibility will increase. The more they know, the better they're going to feel. The more open and transparent you are about what's going on, the better they're going to react. Don't say, well, we'll get to them. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just wait. No, open up to them about what's happening on your team. I scheduled, when I was VP and I had my boss, I scheduled time weekly to go through some things. A couple of quick meetings a week. I even did it with a peer. We'd sit down on Friday afternoons for 15 or 20 minutes, and I'd just say, okay, here's what happened this week. Here's what's going on. Tell me what's going on in your world. Just to make sure we're on the same page. I hope this helps. I plan on doing a few more around this topic in the coming months. You can subscribe to The Funnel, alignment-group.com/The Funnel. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter @JJohnR, LinkedIn. Contact me, jshay at alignment-group.com, and of course our website. Again, thank you for subscribing, and as always, keep filling the funnel.